And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the thanks button. I'm actually starting live a few minutes early, so I got to wait for Steve and everybody else to catch up to me. But I'm a couple minutes early. So right now I'm just talking to the algorithm, said the keywords, get it going. If you're watching on replay later too, this last, there you go, Steve. I knew you'd be here. I was trying to trip you up, be a couple minutes early. This is the last live chat until camp starts. And I don't have a date yet for camp. They haven't given it to us, but it's around the 28th of July. So if that's true, which I expect so, I will be back on probably July 22nd, or what is it, 28th? See, the 28th is a Sunday. Wow. Okay. So 22nd or 29th, I'll be back and we'll just reel them off again like last year. I think we did about 25. I missed one for COVID. Um, but I want to break for a month. There's nothing going on for the next month really on there. So that's why I take a break, but I appreciate everybody coming. All right, so why don't we just talk RFK Stadium, because there was some things that came out this week about it. The DC mayor had a $400,000 study commissioned on the RFK site and stadiums and all that. And two things happened. One, they released some information, which came pretty interesting. And two, they rejected some FOIA requests for how they're going to pay for this thing. And I have a video out about this too, because yeah, you don't want to tip your hand on how you're going to do the financing, because Maryland could say, "Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that too." It's competitive advantage that you're doing. So that's why. Gregory, why are you asking this question? There's nothing updating about the name Commanders. Nobody's changing the name Commanders for a while. Maybe a few years, but not anytime soon. Moving on. I hate to sound blunt about that anymore, but man, it just gets asked all the time. There's nothing going on with all of this. So let me move my camera a little bit. So I'm just tired of it. All right, let me get out a couple of things from the DC from that DC study. All right, these are pie in the sky numbers at times because listen, consultants write things that you want to hear. You know, they get paid to write what you want to hear them say. 3.8 billion to build a complex around RFK. That includes not only the stadium, which they estimate, I think around 2.2 billion for the stadium. No word on whether that's a dome or not. But also they want to do all this office space, a hotel, really, hotel there, and residential housing. So I mean, they want to do a lot of other things around it. That's always been the talk. The stadium, 65,000 seats. That's technically 5,000 less than you need for a Super Bowl, but they let you do temporary seating for a Super Bowl. 5,000 seats, they'll find that. Hell, they'll just put that along down the bottom near the field or something, or they'll put ramp. You know how they did at FedEx, put seats on top of exits and all this kind of stuff. So it's easy to find that. Hey Bob, thanks for coming. Let's see. 79 football events a year. So I think we're really looking at a dome if we're doing this, a retractable one. The study was based on 3 places. Man, 400 grand for a study. I could have done this thing for 100. The Battery out of Atlanta, where the Braves built their new thing, and so that's really done very well. Sophie Field out in LA, and not as much. And the Sacramento Kings basketball complex area, I know nothing about that one. The mayor says a lot of things, but the mayor says 7.4 million people came to sporting events in DC last year. 88% weren't DC residents. Well, sure, a lot of them are Maryland and Virginia, that number. I have met people on my tours. I am a tour guide. If you want to come to DC, if you see in a game, it happens a lot of times. People, especially on my Commanders, will go out on Saturday on tour because they're coming into town for the weekend. But a lot of people come in at Nationals, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of them. I had some fans a couple weeks ago that were from Minnesota when the Twins were in town. So it is a real thing. And you do bring in some money on all of that. Hi, Scott. Thanks. All right. Now, there's an interesting last page of this study that my buddy Alex alerted me to. And here's where the numbers get interesting. Now, this is just DC. This isn't the Commanders. And I talked to the Commanders about this, and they said, "Hey, we're digging in on their numbers too, but these aren't our numbers." Hey, Todd, how you doing? So the proposed is if they do a stadium at RFK, they have basically 6 levels. Now it's 65,000 seats. About 30,000 of them. Well, I'll go through the numbers. 20,000 of them are on the 500 level. Okay, that means they're on the moon, and another 10,000 are on the 400 level. So 30 of 65,000 would be up high on there. And most of those seats, a lot of them would be $90 a ticket, estimated. Nobody's locked that number in. Okay, if it's $90 for a ticket at the stadium at 2030, new stadium, that's a deal. I'll sign up for that one. I'm not paying it, but I would sign up for that. Internet don't know the answer to yours yet, but we are talking stadium. Okay, the 300 level, which I guess is the club level, say at FedEx. They have suites that are 27,000. Premier seats will be 180 a game. Reserve seats 90 per ticket. Standing room only, there'll be 7,500 standing room onlys for $25 a ticket. So you wander around the place, concourse, all that kind of stuff. The 200 level owners club seats are there, $338 each. About that. But the premier seats are $135. There's about 1,000 of those, and reserve seats 3,500 at $90 a ticket. So I'm really surprised if this is true, which I'm not saying it is. That's a better deal than I would have expected. If we get down to the 100 level, $50,000 for a suite. Club seats are $338 a ticket. End zone premier seats. End zone has premier seats, $135 a ticket. And then the field level has field cabanas. I don't know what that is exactly, but 50 grand a suite. End zone bungalows would be 27,000 per suite. And for parking, in case you're wondering if there is any parking, the rich folks who are paying that big money, they're paying for the closest parking at $200 a game. But for Joe Blow, there is some parking for $50 a game. Let me see. I saw a number there somewhere. Parking. Yeah. So they don't give out how many. So they estimate the annual ticket revenues would be $133 million at this new stadium. Merchandise sales in the stadium would be $5.4 million. They don't give the parking. Well, the parking revenues would be $7.1 million. Ooh, okay. All right. So that's how they're figuring on doing this. Now, the mayor doesn't want to say how they're going to plan it. I don't know if the DC has any more money they can really leverage because they just gave Leontis $520 million. The city is estimated to be $1.7 billion in the red. So their bargaining options, I don't know, it can get a little tight on there. All right, let me catch up the questions real quick. Some Todd's at the Outer Banks. Nice for you. Thanks, Todd. Have some fun there for me. I used to go every year for many years. Awful hot now, too, in D.C. It's going to be 90 plus the next 10 days, so go to the beach. Greg, don't forget Harris is trying to get a new stadium for 76ers. Yeah, I was reading about that today. So he's only got so much money, too. Now, this is D.C.'s numbers. These aren't the Commanders' numbers to know what they're spending money on. I was out at the park this past weekend was mini camp. They dug up the artificial turf field that had been there since the place opened in '92. They opened that park about a month after the last Super Bowl that they went to. They just switched over. So they dug that thing up. They're going to put a 4th grass field in. And plus they have the bubble. I don't know why you needed a 4th grass field, but whatever. If you want to come to training camp this summer, they have also not released this yet. But there are going to be not going to be as many open practices as there have been in the past, and especially on weekends won't be as many because the team is playing its first 2 preseason games Saturdays on the road, and they want to scrimmage the Jets and Miami probably on Thursday. It's usually how you do it. So that means they got to leave Wednesday after practice, and they won't be back till Monday because if they play Saturday, then players have Sunday off. So there's a bunch of days in the middle of training camp that they're going to be gone. So training camp still will be free. Have not heard yet about the stands and all the things they had last year. There's some talk about what's going on there. So, you know, you're going to have to pick your battles about coming to camp. It's not going to be as easy as it was. So if you want to go and once they open up tickets while they're free, they only have a limit of them. Be quick. Be the quick, not the dead. Joel, what do I think about Harris's 27th worst owner? Yeah, I heard something about that. I didn't see it, but I think that's just people don't know who he is yet. You know, there's a lot of people don't know it. They're just thinking Dan Snider. Gregory, who opened up the Ashburn headquarters? Jack and Cook? Yeah, because Jack didn't die until 97. What's it going to take? It's going to take time to clip Dan's mess. Right. That's from Josh Snider. Spells it like me. Very good, Josh. So, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, I saw a poll. They rated the dirtiest stadiums in the league. And, of course, your Washington Commanders were rated last. And I thought, I don't know. I mean, yes. Okay, the sewer pipe broke, but that was like, what, 4 years ago or something? Okay, the duct tape broke, but we got new duct tape now. They're okay there. So I don't think it's not, you know, trash everywhere or anything. So I don't quite get that. Let's see, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler. Just got great news from work. I get to move back home to Virginia from Washington. Well, it's not like Washington's that far from Virginia, bud. Just in time to catch the bug. Or unless you're coming from Washington State on there, that would be a lot. If you are coming from Washington State, let me just remind you, we have this thing called humidity, which just arrived in the past day here in Washington. And going to be a long, hot summer, I guess. That's what we do here. Minicamp was beautiful days. I mean, beautiful days. I thought, there's so many new people here. They probably thought, wow, it's going to be nice here. And I thought, just wait till you come back into July. Mr. Humidity will be here to suck the life out of you. Oh, Tyler, Washington State. Okay. So, yeah, throw away all your, cold weather stuff that you wear all summer out there because you're not going to need it here. Todd, do you think that Brandon Ayuk might get traded to the Commanders? And I haven't heard anything for Diami Brown or heard nothing about any of that. Josh, have they been playing Coleman with first-team offense? No. And you're right, there's no pads. Coleman not. Cornelius Lucas has been the starting left tackle in first teams, but Coleman's been on the field. And then, a lot of people are talking, I don't know what it is. Trent Scott has a shot at left tackle. I don't quite see that, but that buzz is there somewhere. Hi, Bo. Thanks for coming. So, minicamp wise, I'll say a few things about that. Jaden Daniels is absolutely the right pick. Okay. I had to see him on a field these past few weeks. They've been on field for roughly 5 weeks, off and on. And I had to see him first, but a lot of good positives with Jaden. Takes it seriously. He's there at the park at 5:30 in the morning throwing to Luke McCaffrey. McCaffrey's also been much better than I expected. I think that's going to end up being a good pick. I was kind of worried in the beginning, but I think he's okay. But Daniels, is smart, knows the book, is becoming a leader, gaining respect from people, still hungry to go out there and work. You think these would be natural things for everybody, but they're just not. So I think they definitely got the right guy there. Now, whether Drake May goes on to be great or McCarthy, I don't know. That's irrelevant almost, but I think they picked the right guy. So that's a relief. Not too many balls on the ground when he's throwing it. Ken definitely has the agility. Man, I saw him make a couple of 180 spins. It's like, ooh, look at that on there. The lines you can't tell a whole lot about on there. Let me grab my chart while I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I can't remember things. Let me get my chart out. And Dorrance Armstrong, I thought defensively at end, I thought he was very quick and elusive. Now, nobody's hitting anybody, but you can just see natural styles. And slips in the backfield really well. So I think that's going to be a positive. I think Jamin Davis playing at least some at end, on occasion, I think is a good thing. These camps, off-season camps, Dan Quinn always admits it, they're passing camps. You don't really do a lot of running, and you do a lot of 7-on-7s. They did 11-on-11s in minicamp, and that tells you a little more. But the offense has the advantage. So it's hard to rate the secondary on a lot of this because it's a big advantage to the offense on there. So that's part of that. But I want to know if I want Washington to change the name. I don't care anymore. I'd like them if I was in charge of this team, I'd say we're going to be the Braves, like the Boston Braves that this team's first year was. And if the NFL don't, and we're going to go get that logo back and get the spear on the helmet too. And if the NFL don't like it, they can talk to my lawyers. But I'm not the guy who owns this team. So, and what I have to say isn't going to move the needle. So, whatever. Clayton, thank you. Yeah, I'm finally feeling better. Let me just tell a quick story about this. I was feeling poorly off and on for 6 months. And it turned out that I'm a diabetic, and my doctor had put me on this thing called Ozempic. So if you hear this on the commercials, they don't tell you about all the side effects. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together for a long time. And when I finally did, I threw that Ozempic in the trash. And they're like, well, you could dial it down. Screw that. So if you know anybody taking this stuff, just tell them they got to watch out. And it has side effects for some people, not everybody. On it. And it didn't make me lose any weight per se doing that. There's one way you lose weight. A doctor asked me how I lost 50 pounds. I said, I'll give you a serious answer to this. Quit eating crap. All right. You can't exercise it off. You can't do a lot of this stuff off. You got to quit eating crap. Don't go to, don't eat fast food every day and all these kind of things. That's the simple answer. Nobody wants to hear it, but the exercise is a bonus, but you can't work pounds off. Not really. It's too hard. So, but I'm feeling great now. Thank God. I'm in one piece for once. It's been nice. I've gone through a couple of years of tough times, but feeling good again. So I'm doing this season again. And then after that, I'll see how I feel and whether I keep going. This will be my 50th training camp somewhere, including my own high school. So there'll be the 50 years. I should get something for this, but I don't know who would give it to me. So going to be interesting to see how it all goes again. And okay, so let's see. Josh, how has Benson been looking so far? Haven't noticed him a lot, just a little. So I can't say a whole lot about that. They do so many drills this time. They have 40 days off right now. And I laugh because Dan Quinn said 40 days so much in the last press conference. I thought he was Noah. Okay, 40 days. Get the animals ready. Here we go. They all gave him the speech when they left about don't be stupid, for the next 6 weeks. I know that the quarterbacks and receivers have talked about getting together. I know the offensive linemen have talked about getting together and working out. They work out on their own. They can do whatever they want on their own time. Most guys went on vacation. I mean, the planes were full leaving Commander's Park on the last day of camp. But they'll go away for a week or so, go see family, and maybe go on vacation. But even if they're home for a few weeks, they'll be working out in the gym. You can't not touch weights for the next 6 weeks. That'd be stupid on that. One thing, too, Emmanuel Forbes supposedly is now 173, which would be a 7-pound gain. I would say I can see it on his legs. I mean, it's lower, but below the knee, he's a stick figure. But now above the knee, you got a little bit of thigh muscle there and all. So, I tried to take him to some buffets. Steve, thank you so much. And that brings up a point since we're 15 minutes in. If you hit the $ below me, it's the thanks button. Thanks for doing the show, telling you all this stuff. Everybody else is on vacation, most of them. So it's just your way of saying thanks. If $2, $5, $10, whatever. There's an app called Buy Me a Beer. I thought about getting it, but it looked too complicated. But I do appreciate it. Steve, and so Steve, your thing, my sunflowers are doing great. And I've planted blue sunflowers in spots this year. I can see where they're getting ready to go. I think my sunflowers are going to break through this week. I have a big garden. I bought part of a farm last year. So I'm in the garden. My corn didn't do well initially, but now it's catching up. We don't have any rain going on around here, it seems, all the time. Pumpkins, I planted blue pumpkins. Can wait till I show you those. But they're, I can see the stuff going on. So I've kept the deer away with my netting so far. We'll see, bastards, But see if I can pull up a photo real quick. Let's see. Where's my? Okay, so let's see. This is called a sunflower room. It's a circular room. This one's 14 feet across, and eventually those will all be up to about 5 feet or so. I planted taller sunflowers. Some of them be more. I have some there called kings that go up to 14 feet. Did them last year. It's pretty amazing. But that's my backyard. That's part of it. So the center is supposed to be grass, so it's not like I let the weeds go. And here's some of the other one there. It's part. I have two sections of sunflowers, so they're over there too. There's my house in the back. So living on the farm a little bit. I come from a long generation of farmers. So I got smart. My dad's smart enough not to farm for a living. It's a tough life. I have family that does. So garden's doing great. Okay. The other thing I saw too, I thought was really interesting was the kickoff drills, because we read about how they're going to do this, and I thought, I don't know, I got to see this to understand it. So when they finally ran the drill, I said to myself, "Ooh, I understand this now." Because basically they're so close to each other, nobody can move till the returner touches the ball, and then they're only about 10 yards apart, so they can't really crash. What you can do is learn how to, thinking about putting your offensive linemen, some of them in the middle of it, get guys who are good, like your guards, who can pull real quickly. And they're talking about running backs and receivers returning the ball because they're used to being in tight quarters and getting hit. This isn't one of these kickoffs where you run 20 yards before somebody gets to you. This is right away. This is a pinball. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I think what will happen is first half of the season, the smart people who figure this out will do well. But by mid-season, everyone's going to figure out how to just neutralize each other. So that'd be, but the part of it that they really want to do is cut down injuries, and definitely will do that. You won't have these big crashes. So that was really cool to watch that. And the poor special teams coach was talking. He said, at every waking moment of the off season, I was thinking about this stupid stuff. Yeah, when I could have taken a breath. So poor guy. All right, Justin went to the USA versus Colombia game. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. A lot of Colombian fans there. I didn't get to go to that. But I like soccer. Soccer is great live. I don't really like watching it on TV much, although Ted Lasso kind of made me a fan of that. But soccer and hockey to me are great live. Teddy, will the Skins return as one of the more valuable franchises in sports again? Once that new stadium is up, they will. So we've got about 5-6 years till that happens. Man, well, I'd be old then. I'll be taking the Metro to games probably because there won't be any parking. Gregory, how far back is this team clean up from Shanahan? Even still, I wouldn't say that on there. I mean, they're all gone. I mean, this team. I just come thinking about it. I have to look at this here. Let's see. I got the schedule right in front of me. All right. So the last Super Bowl for Washington was 32 years ago. How many guys on the roster are older than 32? Well, Tressway's 34. And that's it. Tressway is the only guy alive who's been alive since this team won a Super Bowl. They're all younger, so they've heard about it, but none of them know it because football players are in their 20s mostly anyway. That's pretty interesting. And this team's going to have its highest turnover rate, as you've heard me say before. It's going to be around 60%. And let's see, 1945 was the last time they hit 60%. And that's when all the vets were coming back from World War II, 63.4%. They did 60% in 43 and 44. George Allen's year was 35 when he did the Ramskins. But, I mean, that's pretty historic, showing you how much they're going to change. This is the most change in a single year since World War II, which I was not alive for, so I can't tell you much about how that worked. Bob says, have I and JK, which is John Kime, Talked about doing a live stream together. No, he's got his thing. I got mine. Even though we're best friends, but he's got his deal. I got mine. I'm not sharing all this money I make from you guys. ZZ, do we really want another wide receiver named Brandon from San Francisco? I hadn't thought of that. That's good. All right. Observant you are. Clayton Cook, bring in analytics on season vets. There you go. I can read an age bracket on there. I don't do much analytics, but the team is hiring 3 new analytics masters. I saw the job thing out there. They're called. I love jobs anymore. You can just name somebody whatever you want. You're vice president of whatever other, they just. So I never look at titles much anymore, but they're like data master or data science. I don't know, whatever. Timothy, do you think Coleman or Lucas start at left tackle? I think it's Cornelius Lucas starts, but I would not say that he'll finish the season as a starter. I know they'd like to do Coleman, but as they say, they got to see him in camp hit somebody first. To me, the scrimmages will be the 2 biggest days of the preseason, even more than the games, because you're going to see the vets even a little more. And there's a lot of free agent vets on this team, and that's where you bring in the desire. Because when you're hitting your own teammates, you hit them, but you're all still one team, and everybody knows this. When you get on those scrimmages, everybody's fighting for blood and jobs, and they don't care who they hit and who you got to kill to stay here. That's what they're doing. So those are the ones that show you a whole lot more on there. So they're going. I went to the scrimmage against Miami sometime in the late 90s. Norv Turner took the team down there. Had one hell of a fight because it was so hot. And they went to Tampa one year, same thing, big fight. Because you go down there and it's just, it's 1,000 degrees and you're tired of this guy on the other team cheap shotting you because he's trying to get a job and fights break out. That just happens. It happens in cooler times, but definitely the Miami one, I would bet there'll be a skirmish or 2. And then they're going up to the Jets. So you figure that's a little cooler up there. I don't know. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will show up for a play or 2. Who knows? Boy, the Jets, you're suckers for that one. Who thought he'd play 4 snaps last year and get hurt? I mean, that's crazy. That's like, Fitzpatrick here. He got into the second quarter. That was ridiculous. But if I was the Jets went all in and they got burned on that. And I have a feeling they're getting burned again. You might be running for president or vice president with somebody, whatever. I've heard all the craziness that's on there. All right, let's see. What is it? 8:24. Okay. If you're the show people tend to watch the show about every 15 minutes. So sometimes I'll repeat things. And if you're watching on replay, or if you missed any earlier, when the show ends around 9, YouTube flips it back into cycle and you can watch the beginning of the show or whatever you want, or skip around or all those kind of things. So like what I was doing, I was watching The Chosen yesterday last. And then this morning I watched was it House of Dragons, the Game of Thrones thing. Wasn't that good this time? First one. They try to do too much. I just want to watch my dragons burn, fire breathing. That's what I need. I don't care about all this other backstories. I want to watch the dragons fight, So anyway, I don't know why I said that, but okay. Bob, do I believe? Oh, I know why. So you can watch replay and anything. More people watch on replay than watch live. So I appreciate everybody doing it. I'm not going to be doing the Monday night chats until camp starts, more or less. But I still do the twice a day videos. And, tomorrow I have a couple of RFK kind of videos up about money and stuff. And I'm going to there's going to be some days nothing's going on. I'll tell some old stories about old Redskin times, things like that. The time passes. We'll be at training camp before we know it. Bob believes that DQ should name the starting quarterback at the start of training camp. Well, he just doesn't want the rookie to have. I mean, listen, we all know. It's like, well, we haven't decided who we're doing yet. I mean, come on. Because Daniels has looked good so far. Now, if he goes out there in those 3 preseason games and looks horrible with the lights on at night, Okay, then you got to think about something. So you don't want to pigeonhole yourself entirely. You want the kid to earn it, which he's doing. But there's no real benefit to saying it now and then have to go back on it. So that's why they do this kind of thing. JD looks good though, you know. Steve, does the league set any limits on how many people an organization can have in the front office or coaching staff? Not to my knowledge. You're paying that money, so you can do whatever you want. That's how you get away with so many coaches. Man, this team's got a million coaches now. Everybody's the assistant of something. Bob says JD needs as much time with the ones as possible. True. Though they don't know yet who's their one at tight end, who's their one at running back, who's the one at left tackle, who is the 2 and 3 on receivers that you'd be thrown to as a one. It's a work in progress right now. These were the off-season field, but we'll figure this out pretty quickly in training camp. Yeah, everything they tape it all. And yeah, coaches get like a month off more or less, but they come back a week or two before training camp to get ready. Where players don't have to show up till a certain day. Let's see, Alexander, should the Nats be sellers or buyers? Kind of neutral on that, but I would be a buyer if you don't have to give up anything bad. I mean, hey, the Nats have been great. Pitching's been great. They're 500. They're in the last wild card spot. I wouldn't be sellers, not easily on that. They're getting there. Somebody the other day was like, "You're so excited about a 500 team." Well, they're a lot better than we thought, and the pitching's looking awfully good. So that's the first part of getting back into, playoffs. Clayton, I've read Daniels is first in and requesting wide receivers to stay after. Does do that. He's in at 5:30 in the morning. I'm asleep at 5:30 in the morning, mostly. Not today. I was up, but he and Luke McCaffrey kind of said, "What do you do that early?" And he says, "Well, I'm on." He goes into the bubble and he kind of walks through some things, plays. And Luke was like, "Well, I'll be there." And so they throw the ball. Luke didn't have to, but Luke, you can tell McCaffrey is his father is an NFL star, his brother is an NFL star. You can tell the football DNA there, and that's why he's in there already. So they can't make them, and that kind of thing. Bob, was the female assistant coach retained? No, she was not. She signed elsewhere. I forget where, but she got picked up. Abe, are coaches in touch with players during the break? Not really. Not supposed to. Now, if somebody sends you a text, okay, but you can't make players work. This is their downtime. And I don't blame them as far as when they come back to the park, they don't get to go home except bye weekend, for 6 months. So a lot of them are young players. They like to go home and see mom and dad once in a while or something. Well, see them now because you're going to work 6 days a week. And the 7th, they're going to ask you to go do charity events, and you're going to get banged up. And, bye weekend, they give them a few days off. And they go home then. This year, once again, the bye is December, I think it's 13th. It's in the middle of December, 4 games to go. So you kind of have an early Christmas. You go home and see the family for early Christmas like that. So I don't blame them. Go. This is your time. Go lift weights. Don't be stupid, but don't sit on the beach for 40 days. But they're talking about changing the calendar to where off-season camps would all start around 1st of July. And you wouldn't do any of these other ones in between. To me, I don't really like that because I think it would lead more to burnout. I mean, it's a long season. And if you're not any good, it's a really long season come December. Well, you stack on a month of camp, getting them ready. They don't need conditioning drills anymore. I just think it makes the season even longer. And they were like, well, yeah, but they get that whole big block in between. Yeah, they just get in trouble. They're still lifting weights and all. Most players, they take off 2 weeks, maybe 6 weeks max after a season, depending upon how they feel. And then they're back in the weight room and getting ready. You have to, or you're not going to be able to make it. Teddy, which DC team will you predict wins a championship first? Oh, the Wiz. I couldn't even say that with a straight face. Nats. I'll say the Nats will be the next one. It's tough, though. It's tough to win a championship. We've seen that. Steve, if Forbes trying to add weight, he's added 7 pounds in the off season. That's what the official height weight says. Has he really? I don't know. But his thighs do look bigger. His upper from his knee to his hip I think does look more muscular than before. It was all below the waist was like a stick figure. His lower legs, his calves are stick figures, but he gained a little bit, I guess. Some people some of us are just naturally thin. I could not eat for 40 days and 40 nights and be as skinny as Forbes. How's the new corn crop going, Mike asked. So the first wave of corn didn't do very well. I was planting it, so I had to start over after a few weeks, and now the second wave is kind of catching up to the first. I live in a southern Maryland, a lot of farms around me, Amish are around me a lot. So I got plenty of corn. I look at all their corn going, jerks. It's higher than mine, but mine's catching up. So it's the one corn crop I eat. So I'm eating. Last year I was in the store, corn. We're going to eat corn. It's great. You just crack it off the stalk, walk in the house and boil it, which is as sugary kind of as you can get. But I went to the store and it was like, 6 or 8 corn, for $1. And I thought, man, I really saved money on this, didn't I? That's the sad part. Watermelons are like $5. I planted a few watermelons. Love watermelon, man. When I was a kid, I used to work on farms. You're out there in the hot sun all day. We would be in the back farm away from the farmer and just crack open the watermelons and eat them, because we didn't have, thermoses, bottles, and all that stuff back then. You didn't have bottled water. You had a hose if you were near it. So we used to eat the watermelon out in the field. Are players allowed in the facilities during the break, Abe? Yeah, they are allowed in. I mean, nobody's going to turn them away. But they're not allowed to be on the field. They're not allowed to be in the classroom dealing any of that stuff. If you need to come in and take care of some HR stuff or something, no one's throwing you out. Scotty, anything in my past career that I was sworn secrecy or didn't think was appropriate to share? Oh, yeah. There's this one time now. Or something that you knew, but another person broke the story. That didn't happen too much because I used to live to break stories, and other reporters would go, "Oh, I knew that." And I'd always tell them, "It ain't what you know, it's what you write." So sour grapes. I love break stories. But sure, there was times that you had to hold stuff in your pocket more than you would imagine. And I'm not telling any of that. So even when I retired, I've even had people that were sources who have died. I still won't attribute anything to them. I'm not leaving anything in my will either. It's respect for people. If people are willing to tell you stuff, on the side for helping you, you have an obligation to protect them. And I'm very proud that no one in my career has ever been fired because of something they told me. Oh, Dan Snider tried to figure it out quite a few times. And we only had one conversation once. He wanted to fire Joe Mendez, who was assistant GM for a little bit when Snyder's early tenure before he got Vinny Serrato kind of thing. And Snyder swore, he went in and told Mendez, "I know you told Rick this. I'm going to fire you." So I went to Dan and said, "Listen, I'm not playing this game, but I would just tell you that Joe Mendez did not tell me that." And that was true. He did not tell me something. And Snyder says, "Well, then it's got to be so-and-so." I said, "We're not playing 20 questions. I'm not going to tell you anything else. I'm just going to tell you, I don't want to see an honest man get fired for no reason." Now, Dan fired him later on anyway, but it wasn't for that. And it even came down to where you had to be protective of using nouns. I would say they. I would never say a he or a she. Wasn't a lot of she's around, but if you dropped that, they could figure it out real quick who it was. So there's a whole game to what we do. And my game was always get the story and never have anyone get hurt because of it. That's just me. I don't know how today's journalism world is very different. Charles, in what game did John Riggins complete his only pass in the NFL, and who caught the ball? No idea, Charles. My mind does not work that way. It just doesn't anymore. I gotten old and I can't remember these things. So you win. Go ahead and put it up there what it is. Or if anybody else wants to take a guess, go ahead. People ask me, what's this game, that game? I don't have a memory for that anymore. Just don't. Players like that too. You see too many. I've covered hundreds of games. It's like, I don't know. I've tried to figure it out once. 400 or 500 Redskin games, something like that. Best story ever broke, Mike, was that Milstein was not going to buy the team because the NFL wasn't going to pass him. I had that, made a national rep out of that. I was way ahead of the post on that. And That was one of my best moments. So many years ago. Bob, linebacker was one of our bigger weaknesses on D if we addressed the position. I think they're better on their frontline linebackers. I'm not sure about their depth there. And I'm not sure quite yet how they're going to handle covering a tight end out of the backfield to catch a pass, because they suck at that. They sucked at that for years. And Jamin Davis sucks at that. So I'm not sure how they're working that yet. May have to bring up a safety more. Tyler, am I cool with Grant and Danny? Well, I've known Grant since he was 10 years old. So he's the same age as my youngest child now. He's like 30. What's my youngest child now? 36 is my youngest. So my other kid's going to turn 40 next year. My God, I got a kid turning 40. Whew. Good thing I was a child when I started this. I was 18 when I became a reporter and got paid, worked for a day for a newspaper. It was all real job. So Grant and I are good. Bob, it's a little under the weather. I'm sorry to hear that, Bob. Yeah, the sign says that's going around because of the weather. The humidity is wreaking havoc now, and the pollen, and no rain is just making it tough. I have to put a mask on to cut grass. I have 3 acres, and if I don't put it on, I get all stuffed up. I never had that problem until I got old. All right, Alexander says, John Riggins completed a pass in the 83 NFC Championship game against 49ers. Okay, there you go. Who knew? And Charles had it there too. Okay. All right, so Charles, you win that one too. You get the gold medal, and it was Charlie Taylor? Okay, I didn't think Charlie was still around in 83. Charlie Brown. Okay. Yeah, Charlie Brown would be right. I see Charlie Taylor, I think, was playing out that long. Mike, why wasn't NFL going to pass Menendez for Redskins owner? Milstein, they're talking about. He didn't have the cash. He was trying. He was a real estate guy from New York City, and Howard Milstein wanted to not put any money down. He said, I'm good for it. I can pledge my properties and all that. And yeah, you may have had the money that way, but you notice Josh Harris was talking about he had to cash in a lot of his stuff too, because you have to have X amount of money in cash, 35%. And Milstein and they kept telling him, you got to do this. And he kept holding them off thinking they'll break. Well, they did. And they finally told him one day, I think it was in April, they said, we're going to bring you up for a vote today and we're voting you down. And he withdrew his offer instead of being voted down. But yeah, that was the only thing. That was the only real reason. NFL doesn't have any problems if you got the money. Timothy says, I've been on Junkies before. I was the Sports Junkies' first media person when they started in the business. Used to be at weekends on another station, small timer. And I was the first guy to do it. I've been on the show, I don't know, hundreds of times over the years. I mean, this was in the mid-90s. So I've been on their show for about 30 years. I actually just went to 106.7 where I write a column for them. I'm a columnist for them, but I appear on the shows. I had lunch with Grant, and I said, Grant, we're like 3 blocks from the office. Take me in. I've never been in the building ever. So I went through, said hi to the guys, and walked out. But at least now I can say I've been there. I've worked for them for 10 years. That's who I write for now, 106.7 The Fan. Because newspapers are all dying. And I'm semi-retiring. So I'm not too worried about it. Invested well. Don't have to worry about things as much. Jared, thanks for coming. Mike, I think it's a junkie should have me on once a week. Well, I'll just say this. If you have me on once a week, I'd want to get paid. I don't get paid to do this. It's a professional courtesy. And I tell a lot of people they want to try and have me on every week. I said, no, I'm not doing every week with people because that's a job. That's an appointment. That's an obligation. People get paid for that. Oh, we can't pay you. We don't have the money. Well, then I'm not doing it every week. I'll do it here and there, and only if I like the people. So that's how that works. But I like the Junks fine. We've had, a lot of years together. Gregory, in years ahead, do you think the NFL will still hammer extending the season even more? They're going to 18 games at some point. The only question is when. And I'd rather see 18 regular season and 2 preseason. I hate preseason games because these guys won't play anybody. He might as well just scrimmage somebody. Be the same thing, except the NFL charges full price. They make more money. Tyler, thanks. Hey, if they pay me, I'd go one more. Bob, I don't know if they're all haters of Washington. Because I mean, the guys all grew up in Bowie, more or less. The four junks, I think three of them were on the same street, and they knew each other since like early teens. So they've all known each other for years. Let's see. So I don't, sometimes you just have to be honest about what goes on. You can't be a cheerleader all the time. And things have sucked a lot lately. So, it's easy to sound bad. Jeff, ever thought why George Marshall didn't move the team to Atlanta or Raleigh when the Interior Department wouldn't let him play at DC? He had a good thing going at DC, plus his health was going. In the early 60s, George Preston Marshall's health was going, and he finally just said, screw it, hire whatever players you want. He let Edward Bennett Williams, who's a prominent lawyer in town, run the team. EBW, and then Marshall died, I think it was 68 or something like that. And Jack Kent Cooke got control that interest. And Cook told EBW, I'm busy in LA for a while. You run the team for a while. Edward Bennett Williams, fascinating man. He was a very prominent lawyer to the point where Richard Nixon said, I would have remained president if he had been my lawyer. Man, what's that say? But he's the guy who hired George Allen and fired George Allen, said, I gave him an unlimited budget and he exceeded it. He hired Bobby Beathard. So he did a lot of that. Mike, where am I going on vacation? Who says I'm going on vacation? You're going on vacation. I actually am going away for a few days in August once the preseason starts. But that's because this is my 50th training camp, and I'm finally going to take a little time away from that stuff. So going to with the grandkids and all to some place in the mountains. I don't know where we're going. And I might go to Vegas in the week they play Cincinnati. And why is that thing doing that? The week they play Cincinnati, I'm going to Vegas for a few days and be back in time for the game. Don't want to go to Vegas in the summer. Done that. Don't do that. Did Vegas 117. Don't do that. Man, was it hot. Thanks, Bob. Let's see. I am your mind. Ha! I like that one. 2026 first rounder of McCaffrey reuniting with his brother for Ayuk. I don't know why everybody keeps talking. I haven't heard anything about this kind of a trade yet. I don't expect to see it. Jared wants to keep him McCaffrey. Yeah, I mean, it's a good bloodline on there. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't know. I like McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey might be something. I wasn't expecting it, but I think he could be. All right, so one other thing, if you can hit the thumbs up button, since nobody wants to donate money to the cause, if you see the dollar sign, you like to throw in a few bucks and say, hey, Rick, thanks for spending a June night with us, telling us all the inside stuff that I can. Here's a couple bucks to enjoy your summer. I'll take it. But if you can't do that, bunch of tightwads, hit the thumbs up button because the algorithm likes that and they send me more people. So I am working on audio tours. I do tour guiding in DC. If you're coming to DC, you want to go specialty tour, I have a lot of fans who do this. I just finished several tours with fans who watch the show and want to come. Happens to me all the time. It's really weird. But people come up to me. It's just, I'm a newspaper guy for all these years. But anyway, if you want to come to DC, do something different, you can go to monumentalthoughts.com, which is my tour guide website, monumentalthoughts.com. And, you can see how to reach me there. I'm working on some audio tours. I have a few out there, but working on the Smithsonian's next. So you can walk through the Smithsonian's with your cell phone and listen to me. And for, I think it's like $7, you can get get a tour for $7. Not as fun as I am, but, whatever. It's like having me there, sort of. All right, 15 minutes to go, and then I'm 40 days and 40 nights too, like our coach Noah there. I am your mind. Thanks. Welcome. Mike, thank you so much. See, I don't mind $5. I'll take it. Usually I end up giving it to my grandkids anyway for stuff. But I taught my oldest grandson, he's 9, how to do the handshake and pass the money in your hand, like they do in New York. He thinks that's the coolest, but he likes getting money. I make him do chores, something simple. Can you take my trash can down the street? That stuff. Dollywood seems like a nice place. Never been. I have been to Dollywood 25 years ago. It is a cool place. I mean, it was then. They have a big bald eagle complex there, which is cool. But it's people are nice and happy. I haven't been there since the fire in the area. Traffic's a bear. Let me just say that about Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Traffic is a bear. But there's a lot of stuff there. It's the closest thing you can come to being like along the beach, and how bad that can be in the summers. That's what it's like there. I go more try to go in the off season more, whatever they have. Timothy says the Celtics. Yeah, Celtics will finish this one off. They gave them one. Gregory, do you think you could still add practices with the New England Patriots? I don't think so because it's too far late into the preseason. So at that point, they're probably 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks away from cuts, but it's the last preseason game. I don't see them doing it this time. All right. Let's see. Everyone is talking about Ayuk because of the video on FaceTime call they have a JD5. Yeah. It doesn't mean anybody's trading for anybody. Teddy, Ray Caverns is a hidden jewel. I was there as a kid more. There's another one too out there. There's another Caverns just like 20 minutes away. I took the grandkids to a couple years ago. But the Ray's cool. And on a hot day, you're down that canyon. It's cool down there. So it is a nice break from the heat. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's something. I always wondered how they set those things up. Who was the first guy down there setting up the lights and not falling to his death? Man, that's dangerous. We were in the caverns once and they said, okay, we're going to turn the lights off just to show you how dark it is. They hit the lights. I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. That's how dark it is in those canyons. Caverns. So who's the first guy who walked down there and said, ooh, cool, let's make a tour out of this. Here, God. All right, Mike, what's the prediction for the Washington Redskins record? You got 10-7. Oh, we're kind of close. I got 7-10. But they could get 8 or 9. I don't know if they get to 10. The schedule, I looked at the schedule. I didn't quite see it that way. Matter of fact, I got a schedule right here on my desk. We got a minute. We'll go over it. Okay, so they open at Tampa. I'm thinking loss. Then they have Giants at home. I like them to win that. Then I have them losing at the Cincinnati Bengals on a Monday night. And then I have them beating Arizona out there. So that's 2-2. And then I got them, let's see. I've got them beating Cleveland. So they're a 3-point dog right now. I got them upsetting Cleveland. So I got them at a winning record, 3-2. Okay. And then I got them losing to Baltimore and beating the Panthers, beating the Bears. But then things get kind of sad. Then I got them losing at the Giants, Pittsburgh, at Philly, Dallas. Got them losing all those. Then they beat Tennessee, go on the bye, lose at New Orleans, beat the Eagles, lose to Atlanta, lose to Dallas. 7-10. That was my first just going down the list when I did it. We'll see. I think they're a better team than last year for sure. And last year they only won 4 games. So if they can get 8-9 wins and be competitive, because part of this is chemistry too. With so many new players, that's what they're trying to develop now is the chemistry and learn the playbook. But it takes a year. It takes a year. And a lot of these guys are on 1-year show me deals. They may not be back. So it may take 2-3 years. Scotty, since I'm a tour guy, what's my favorite national park? Yellowstone easily. I mean, if you ask my wife, she'll say Yosemite, which I like Yosemite fine, but Yellowstone's got more stuff. And it's even, man, I was in 100 degrees in Boise, Idaho, visiting a family member. Drove across Idaho, got over to Yellowstone. It's snowing in July. The weather there, it's like 60 degrees because you're up in the mountains. You're up by the Continental Divide. But it's cool. You can see, I would definitely say Yellowstone. Bryce Canyon, another great one in Utah. And there's another one in Moab I've been to. Arches National Park. If you're looking for something unusual to go on vacation, I got to tell you, Utah is a really underrated state. It has some awesome national parks and people. And I really liked Utah a lot. I've been to Salt Lake City, and we went and saw the tabernacle. We heard the choir. Folks are nice to you there. It's kind of a small town for all it is. And you can get a beer in Salt Lake City now. So, not that that's the gauge of a great city, but they're going to have an NHL team now. Yeah, the only thing with Yellowstone too is the altitude can kind of get you. I'm used to being in Washington, where we're basically at sea level. But you got to Utah. I was out there with friends, and we're backpacking through the canyon lands, and they're dying. It's 90 degrees. I'm not even sweating because there's no humidity. But I was kind of breathing hard because we were up like 8,000 feet. And once you get to 10, you start to feel it. A secret I learned from my friends out there: get smart water. Smart water has minerals that stick to you and really combat altitude sickness. And they say eat too while you're backpacking, because it helps alleviate the nausea and all. Because once you get up to 10,000, your head starts to hurt. So smart water, it's always good for you. Have I been to the HFS festival in DC back in the day? Nah, Todd, I was already an adult and had kids and didn't have time to go, Freebird all the time anymore when they had those. Tyler, there's an incredible book I read when I was a kid about the first guys to explore Luray. I haven't read that. I stumbled on a sinkhole and went down, and it was like, whoa, yeah, Luray is pretty cool. It's definitely on a hot time. It's a great place to go visit. Jeff, since you'll be gone, I'm not going on 4th of July, but I'm not going downtown either. But if 4th of July fireworks downtown DC, a lot of people normally would be on the Lincoln steps, but Lincoln's having a museum built under it, and the front steps are all tore to heck. They're not torn up, but they have scaffolding everywhere. So I would not do Lincoln this time. A lot of people do it across the river, like Iwo Jima Memorial, things like that over there, because you don't have to deal with the traffic, a nightmare. If you go downtown, they have security zones as part of the new world. So you can't really take much with you. You have to take Metro. You can't drive. Forget that. The 4th of July, I was downtown last year. I saw the parade. The parade's like at 11 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody there. And it's a great parade. It's a big parade. And you can, go to the Smithsonian, sit there in front of the Smithsonian's. They have restrooms too. But you can watch the parade and without any hassle, which is unusual in DC. So as far as that goes, East Potomac Park, it just depends on how much you want to fight your way out. Most people will walk to the metros. The U.S. Capitol is a great place to go see it too. They do that PBS, all the music. It's free for anybody to go to. So you can go see the show at PBS. I think it starts like 8 to 9, and fireworks start around 9:15. And you can do that. And then there's a subway station on the backside of the Capitol that'll get you out of town. Timothy, thank you so much. Father's Day. We got 5 minutes to go. So ask anything you want now at this point. I saw In-N-Out 2 with the grandkids, and that was a big movie last weekend. And if your kids want to go see it, take them. It's fun. It's funny. It's good enough for an adult to hold your attention. I like the little red guy who gets mad and his head catches on fire. I guess that's what happened to my hair. I don't know. So do that. What else? Oh, you see a video I put up with the grandkids. I saw somebody had put mayonnaise on their hot dogs, and I thought, what kind of nonsense is this? So I did a challenge with 3 of my grandkids. They're between 7 and 9, the ones that did it. We put mayo on a hot dog, and 2 of the 3 liked it. I thought it wasn't bad. It was better than I expected. I was kind of braced for that. But so we did that. It's on my YouTube page. We do crazy stuff sometimes. The kids didn't really want to do it, but they like to be on YouTube. They're of that generation. Have I seen the newer drone shows? A little bit, Mike. But yeah, they're pretty cool. It's not like the old days going to county fireworks and they sell a few sparklers. But I don't know. I've seen enough fireworks in my life. I like to watch them on the big screen at home now. I'm getting old. Let's see. Scotty, thank you so much for that. Thanks for all of that. We got the last couple minutes, and then I'm wishing you a fond summer. So if you missed the show earlier, you want to see some, as soon as we go off the air, it'll come back in a couple minutes, and you can see the whole show wherever you want. Skip through it on there. You can do that. Videos are at 6 a.m. on YouTube, and usually social media is within a short time afterwards. And then around dinner time, kind of just varies, anywhere from 4 to 6. We're doing that. Steve, what are you going to do without me? Steve's watched like every minute of every show. So if you lived up here, we'd meet for lunch. But if you come to DC, we'll meet for lunch on there. So we do it. Let's see. When's the next live stream? So that will be, next live stream will be in July, right around training camp. I think training camp, they haven't said definitely what day it is, but I think it's going to start around July 28th, somewhere in there. So I'll either do July 22nd or 29th. We'll see. I'll try to do the 22nd, but you never know. And then I usually do every Monday, through the season. And we'll start my podcast, Seasons of Discontent. We'll come back and do all that. Notice I haven't plugged the book tonight. Saved you guys all that trouble, but you can get it on Amazon if you want it, whatever. There it is. 100 Commanders fans. For those of you who do what? Man, we'll catch up again next time. So everybody else, thank you so much, Todd, too. Thank you, everybody, for coming. All this, hope it was worth your time. If not, well, there's no refunds on all of this. And I'm just going to goof off for a little bit. So that way I won't be brain dead come August, because it never took a break. So I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. I'm going to see everybody soon. See you in July. Go eat a hot dog or something. Have some fun.